Hi, how are you? This video is kind of refreshed to a tutorial playlist I've done previously. This is mainly to just show new things that I learned since those videos came out. Still trying to get better. I recorded full process in a day trying to create a weapon that is bashed together from ideas and visual language of Marathon. Marathon has simple models, simple shapes serving as canvases to bold colors and typography. We will make a rather crude model, almost as if someone stopped modeling at the blockout stage. So yeah, just pop every reference that you think that will benefit the project into pure ref, and see what you can come up with. I like to highlight parts that I enjoy and want to use in the project. First and foremost, I switched to Plasticity as my main modeling software. It is an amazing app, super intuitive, interface and user experience here are just incredible. It is also available for a free trial, so definitely go check it out. I'm going to stop yapping here. Feel free to skip this part, because there is not much of educational value here. Other people have much better tutorials covering modeling process. What I will say is that if you have a concrete concept to model against is a massive time saver. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Alright, let's import the mesh from Plasticity to Blender. I use OBJ as a default file format. First serious improvement to my workflow was buying Zen UV plugin for Blender and actually trying to learn UV unwrapping. Zen UV plugin is great for that, and I still haven't really mastered it, but it is so much better to have a better unwrap than default smart unwrap in Blender that I used to do before. It gives me more control and understanding, and also cleaner bakes of mesh maps that are absolutely crucial for the texturing step of the process. Unfortunately, I lost a bunch of footage from this section, so I'll just focus on key takeaways that I learned along the way. Here I already did some unwrapping, not in the cleanest manner, so you don't have much catching up to do. Firstly, in unwrapping process, you'll need to have your sharp edges and seams all marked on the edges. I mark them by angle for both sharps and seams, and I keep angle at a default value of about 30 degrees. For simple mesh like ours, it does 90% of marking seams. For more complex or organic parts, you must do more by hand. By default, sharps are light blue color and CMS are red. On this mesh, they mostly overlap, so red seam edges are covering blue sharps. Highly recommend assigning a hotkey for select all linked function. That way you will be able to select basically individual islands much quicker to unwrap them faster. Also populate your quick favorites context menu with all functions that you use the most and assign quick favorites to a hotkey too. Main idea of UV mapping is to have these colorful squares minimally stretched or not stretched at all. All this extra work to have these islands split nicely is to cleverly take advantage of the space on the texture canvas. Textures are the heaviest and the most expensive part of the mod files. So if you are planning to make a big gun mod, you need to be clever about textures and their size. For this project, I am going to make only one texture set and one material. So all gun parts will be textured by a single material. It will be 4K too. It is not the smartest way, but it is efficient for the purpose of this tutorial being released soon. Ideally, one would create texture set per attachment for greater modularity, and have those texture sets resolution reflect size of the object relative to the proximity of the player's camera in game. There are some exemptions, like for example, reflex sight can be at much lower resolution, even though it is the closest to the camera, but since its tiny size, its UV islands have enough space on the canvas to actually express details of the texture. Size, density, and proximity to camera are the main components here. But since Starfield can be enjoyed in first person or third person and objects can be inspected in inventory in great detail, I choose to have a more universal spread of islands on the UV map. For the next part, I go over each island and mostly use unwrap conformal for flat or flattish surfaces and unwrap minimal stretch for islands that can be laid out as flat long ribbons. Here I pack islands and make sure that none of them overlap and have enough margins among each other. I brought that magazine up a bunch and wrote down value at which I elevated it. This is necessary to have clean bakes of mesh maps that might overlap or affect each other and create unwanted artifacts. This is only for parts that can be viewed separately, and this is where I assign vertex colors to individual meshes. This is also preparation for texturing part of the project. This is to mask materials and layers to individual vertex colors. We will have a single material, and to have greater control and substance painter we do this. Alright, mesh is ready, UV are done, you can start getting NIF file ready. For now we'll just export mesh in GLTF file format, and plop it on top of AA99 NIF file. First, save this as a separate file in the folder of your choosing in Starfield's data and meshes folder. Select 0 in inode and go to File and import mesh as GLTF. Mesh should pop right in place. Place receiver or main body mesh into the respective node. You can just press on vanilla meshes to see which node they are placed in, and you can copy and paste blocks into their respective nodes. Since we have a simple project, we can delete majority of 9 nodes in this AA99 NIF, just leaving bolt as a moving part and body 9 nodes because it carries collision info. Here you can notice that when I placed bolt in the original 9 node that contained vanilla bolt, it was displaced. That's cause origin point of the mesh gets placed at the coordinates dictated by the 9 node. Simple fix. Just use opposite values that you can see in bolt's 9 node and assign those to the mesh itself, and it will get back in its intended place. Here is an exciting new thing to me that I am still trying to figure out and eventually master. In order to have fake bevels, I use Marmoset to bake normal map that will imitate smoother edges to have more fake surface areas for light to bounce off. It is an incremental change that elevates the result and saves triangles for more complex projects. I am not going to show how, why, or what I do in great detail exactly because I still don't know what I'm doing here. In Substance Painter, I am going to show you how and what I bake from mesh maps. Resolution to 4K. Anti-aliasing to the max because why not? Mesh by mesh name. Since we are not working here in high-low poly workflow, we set use low poly mesh as high poly to on. Select these maps to bake. ID for those vertex colors to use as masks for materials. Ambient occlusion, curvature, position, and thickness. We might not need them all, but if need be we have them. You can copy values that I use because they are quite universal for guns from project to project. Little tip for the colors and how they display in viewport. Just do this in your settings. Also in display settings, make sure that environment alignment is set to camera to illuminate the model conveniently. And here starts second most fun part for me of this creative process, which is just experimenting with texturing. Those vertex colors baked to ID map are coming convenient to mask layers to only selected colors. Export in the best available quality, while making sure that files that you export follow DDS naming conventions required by Material Editor and Creation Kit. I also didn't capture how to convert PNGs to DDS, but it is widely available knowledge. Plenty of tools and tutorials.